Alright, so after finishing up Pikmin 4 recently, I felt like Luigi's Mansion 3 was kind of the perfect follow up to it. It's just kind of crazy how similar in some ways these two series are, both in general and through my personal experience. Both showed up initially on GameCube, then skipped the Wii DS generation before returning after that with one mainline entry the next two generations. Pikmin's gotten a little more love with an extra GameCube game and a 3DS spin off, but. And they're both solid, unique series, but they seem to be, a bit of a step behind your Marios or Zeldas and that sort of thing in terms of popularity. And for both, personally, I wound up picking up and playing through one of the GameCube ones at the same time and played them one after another. So it just sort of felt natural to do that again with the Switch ones, and who knows, maybe again as I go through some more of the games in the middle there. How is the game overall? It's more Luigi's Mansion, which is fine. Like I said, it's really fun and unique, but coming off of Pikmin 4, which I felt like was better in just about every way, with the exception of being a little easier, depending on how you feel about that. It's like, besides nostalgia, why would I play, if I was to ever replay these games, which I don't tend to do because there's just so many games out there I want to try. But if I was to, why would I play Pikmin 2 over 4 other than nostalgia? But with Luigi's Mansion, it's just sort of more of the same, and it's like at that point, I'm going to go with the one that probably has a bit bigger and better nostalgia. Like, honestly, this game feels like it could have been a GameCube sequel to the original Luigi's Mansion. The big new addition here, Gooigi, I don't really feel like they really pushed anything or took full advantage of this new mechanic outside the second to last boss fight against the hotel owner or whatever. I'm pretty sure the plunger was from the 3DS one, which is fine. It's a good idea, but it isn't really that game changing or anything. And Polterpup, I think, was also from the 3DS one, but what was he other than an occasional cute tour guide? Which, you can take him out of the game and it really wouldn't change anything, honestly. And I don't know, maybe I'm missing something that was also not in the GameCube one, but basically it all feels like it could have been there, and even graphically, once again, graphics a very low priority for me when it comes to games, but outside a few close-ups of some mustache hairs and clothing fabrics in cutscenes, I feel like this all looks like it could have been on the GameCube too. And once again, it just could have been better. I guess the game does have more diverse locations, but I don't know, I felt like the original Luigi's Mansion did a good job with what it did, to where I wouldn't have really said it was something that really needed a big overhaul like this. And I'm not gonna lie, it feels more like a haunted amusement park than it does a hotel. Like, I feel like Twisted Suites was a floor that did it right, to where it still felt like a hotel floor, but it was taken over by the magician ghosts that occupied it. It was one of the more fun floors in the game too, which came at a good time because the two previous floors, I believe it was the desert one and basement 2, were two of the worst in the game, honestly, especially basement 2. which meant I was naturally thrilled when I saw you had to backtrack and return to do another chunk of Basement 2 later. There isn't a lot of backtracking, but the ones connected to the main story, like said Basement 2 and the Polter Kitty fights, are awful. The boos, too, if you go for 100% completion. Like, why don't the boos show up after you clear the boss? Why do you need to go to another floor and return for them to show up? It's a very annoying waste of time. Maybe if the game loaded instantaneously, it wouldn't be that big of a deal, but it doesn't. And you waste a good, 20 to 40 seconds just to get the boo to show up. And then if you fuck up, because you're relying on the vibration in the controller, and sometimes there's, you just misjudge it, or there's multiple items that they can be hiding in that are real close to each other, then you have to either search all over again, or you need to exit and reload your save, which is also pretty much the equivalent of reloading the floor again. So if I knew how much of a pain in the ass it would wind up being, I wouldn't have bothered. But the first few times it didn't seem too bad, and by the time I had enough of it, I only had a couple left. And the other collectible for completion, the gems, they're fine. They show up right away, and even if you kind of have to return and redo a floor, doing it kind of once for something that's, a little easier, and you're able to get around a bit quicker because you don't have a lot of, puzzles or fights in between, or I should say mandatory fights. They can have some like random ones that show up that you can just sort of dodge, but I don't know. And then the coins this time around felt kind of pointless too. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember correctly, in the first Luigi's Mansion, the amount of coins you had affected the ending. I think there was a good and a better ending, and you needed 1,000,000 coins, or more like 100,000, because you got like the last 900,000 right at the very last second. But that determined your ending. And here, there's no clear clue or anything that might be the case here, which sort of leaves the only purpose. I mean, they're fun to collect, I guess, but the only purpose then would be to use it in the shop on either revivals or collectible maps, which, why are we doing that too? Stuff like collectible maps, I mean, at this point, the game should encourage you to, not pull up a guide. And if you don't have a collectible map, or you charge in-game resources for it, then that sort of goes against that. And I just don't like it. It's not, the GameCube era where it's, hard to find a good guide. You should, be keeping players strictly in the game. And once again, I'm going to say Resident Evil 3 Remake and Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart did it really well. And I just don't in my head have any excuses for this game to have not taken a similar approach to one of them. Another big new addition to this game, I believe, was the multiplayer modes, which you've seen me in practice mode trying some of the stuff out for the first time. I mean, this 3 mini games, or whatever you want to call them, they honestly just feel like bloated Mario Party mini games. And let's be real, with a few rare exceptions, people, I don't feel like, from my experience, play Mario Party just to play the different mini games. They play it to have them mixed in with the board game aspect, so it just kind of feels sort of pointless here, as it would if Mario Party dumped the board game aspect in an entry or whatever. That was Scream Park. Scare Scraper, on the other hand, I will say, isn't necessarily for me. I mean, first off, clearly I don't really have anyone to play with. I don't have NSO Online either anymore. But this mode is solid. It seems to be just sort of a procedurally generated tower challenge, essentially. Try to make it as far as you can go. It does, even though you can play it solo, it does really feel like it's built for multiplayer. Like, I was barely scrapping through the different floors by myself. Maybe with some adjustments, it could have been more feasible to solo, but I don't know. Either way, I think I could see this being a good time if you had people to play with. A nice little co-op mode. A few other bright sides, I guess. I mean, I felt like the whole hotel floor layout thing was pretty decent. I mean, I feel like even in Luigi's Mansion, you're only, really dealing with maybe a handful of floors at once. So it does kind of just work to sort of have it split up like that. And overall, I mean, it is longer, but overall it still isn't as long as I would have thought for something that I believe was full price at launch. I think it took me like 15-ish hours to 100% complete everything. Compared to, like I said, it's hard not to compare it to Pikmin. Pikmin, which was like 40 plus hours. Which, once again, I think Luigi's Mansion, the original, was only, I think, no more than 5 hours. I think it was even shorter than that. So I guess that's a little bit of a step up. But even then, though, I feel like if you just kind of want to replay something really quick, I feel like Luigi's Mansion being a little bit less of an investment could be a bit more appealing too, just to kind of get your fix in if you really want to play it and you're out of Luigi's Mansion games, which we aren't yet. I gotta get to the 3DS one eventually, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like I did a lot of complaining, but I do want to stress it is a fun, good game. Once again, Luigi's Mansion is a fun, unique concept. If you really like it, I think you'll like this one. I just was hoping we saw a bit more of a step up compared to, what we were getting over 20 years ago on GameCube. Similar to, how I felt with Pikmin 4. But I don't know, maybe I had my expectations too high. Who knows?